I've officially signed as an MMA fighter to the fastest growing sports league in the world. The PFL, baby.
Boxing experts are absolutely losing it over Jake Paul after he dropped a bombshell about his boxing career. This time, everyone's up in arms because he announced his departure. Why, you ask? Simple: his reputation already dangling by a thread. After those glorified scripted matches he dared to call fights has officially nosedived into the abyss, and now no sponsor in their right mind wants anything to do with him. I've
talked to Nikisa an hour ago. The point is, I talked to Nikisa an hour ago. Two things are happening. Jake is super successful in boxing. Whether you love Jake or hate Jake, we can all agree that guy's the man when it comes to generating attention and revenue and viewership with his boxing career. And it's more successful than it was when we signed him on the boxing side. That has delayed MMA. That's delayed MMA because he's killing it on the boxing side. So will MMA happen with PFL? Yes, it will. Has it been delayed? Yes, it has. My guess is fall of this year, but I don't think it's going to be before then. He's got so many things going on in boxing.
Yeah, it's kind of what they told us as well. We did a little round table with him last month, and Nikisa and Amanda in Orlando, and he was basically like, listen, I got a box. So it could be maybe later this year, maybe 2026, but he's planning on doing it. At least that's what he said.
Look, he's going to do it. And by the way, every time you've asked me or Nikisa or Jake, we've probably given similar answers without coordinating. We thought for sure it was 2024 fall.
So what's a man with no credibility and a hunger for money to do switched in MMA? Of course, why stick around in a sport where people actually expect skill when you can hop into PFL, a league still trying to find its footing and cash in on lower standards? Jake's plan.
Already disrupted boxing, and now it's time to disrupt MMA. I know this is such a tough sport, and it's not going to be easy.
Ride the MMA wave, collect a fat paycheck, and ruin a sport that hasn't even had the chance to fully establish itself yet. Classic Jake Paul, ruining everything he touches.
League, baby! And not only am I an MMA fighter now officially signed to an organization, but I am also a co-founder of the new PFL pay-per-view Super Fight Division.
Jake's move to MMA makes sense for one reason: money. The PFL handed him a multi-million-dollar deal not because of his skills, but because of his Instagram followers. Even the PFL's founder Don Davis practically admitted that Jake's main value is as a walking billboard. Forget being a fighter, Jake's job is to get eyeballs on screens, not wins on his record. And honestly, it's hard not to laugh when even the league signing him seems more excited about his ability to create buzz than his ability to, actually fight.
I'm going to use my platform to market PFL fighters and introduce them to my fans worldwide. I personally will be deeply involved in making sure that the PFL is the best place in the world for
boxing. Experts are already tearing him apart, and rightfully so. They're asking the obvious question: is Jake leaving because he can't hack it in boxing? The answer is as clear as his lack of footwork. Absolutely. By moving to MMA, he's sidestepping the heat.
If that's not balls, then
boxing, you earn respect by climbing the ranks and proving yourself against top-tier opponents. But Jake, he's always been more interested in playing the part than living it. MMA, with its lower expectations for crossover stars, is the perfect playground for Jake to keep pretending he's a real athlete while avoiding any serious competition.
I'm taking this seriously, okay? Yes, I still want to become a world champion in boxing.
Now he's taking his circus to MMA under the PFL banner, and it's just further proof that Jake is more businessman than fighter. This move has nothing to do with athletic ambition and everything to do with his bank account. Jake reportedly makes over $30 million a year from his ventures. If that's not balls, then I don't know what it. But it's hard to respect a guy who treats combat sports like his personal piggy bank. Boxing experts have nailed it. Jake Paul is more businessman than boxer, and honestly, they're right. Every move Jake makes is calculated for maximum profit, not maximum challenge. I'm taking this seriously. Okay, yes, I still want to become a world champion in boxing. Even the PFL knows what they've signed up for. Founder Don Davis called Jake a marketing genius, which is just a polite way of saying we hired him for clout, not talent. They're not wrong, though. Jake's move to MMA isn't about proving anything. It's about milking his social media fame for all it's worth. Whether you love Jake or hate Jake, we all agree that guy's the man when it comes to generating attention and revenue and viewership. And let's not ignore the timeline. His debut was supposed to happen in 2024, but now it's been pushed to late 2025. Why? Jake claims it's because of his boxing commitments, but let's be real, there's nothing on his schedule except dodging ranked opponents and keeping his ego intact. Critics see it for what it is: Jake Paul running away from the mounting pressure in boxing and seeking refuge in a sport where the expectations are lower. When we signed him on the boxing side, that is delayed MMA, that's delayed MMA. So will MMA happen with PFM? Yes. It will. Has it been delayed? Yes, it has. My guess is fall of this year. Let's break this down. The guy has been parading around like he's the savior of boxing, yet most of his fights have been against people who had no business putting on gloves. Tyron Woodley, retired UFC guy, 0 boxing credentials. Ben Askren couldn't outbox a toddler. Nate Robinson, a basketball player, not a boxer, not even close. And let's not forget his one actual boxing match against Tommy Fury in 2023. The only time he stepped into the ring with someone who knew what they were doing, and he got exposed. Even fans are roasting him, saying he leaves boxing without ever fighting a boxer. I'm guessing his first MMA fight will be against a retired volleyball player, so now he's off to the professional fighters league Pell, where he can peddle the same shtick to a new crowd. But his MMA debut isn't even happening until fall 2025. That's right, guys, he's got almost 2 years to prepare, which in Jake's world probably means filming hype videos and coming up with a new line of merch. The delay, he claims it's because of his ongoing boxing commitments to what? Losing another fight. Experts aren't buying it, they see the real reason. Jake's running from the mounting pressure to face actual boxers. MMA offers him an escape hatch where he can play the new guy card while dodging any real accountability. My advisor Nikisa Badarian is also joining as a co-founder of this new division for the PL, and I'm pointing him the head of making everyone money. Jake Paul's entire boxing career has been like a bad prank that went on for far too long. For years, he's dodged real competition like a pro. Oh wait, scratch that, he's no pro. Critics have been calling him out for cherry-picking opponents so carefully, it's like he's trying to pick a ripe avocado. Canelo Alvarez, nope. A rematch with Anderson Silva, dream on. But it matters, the opponent matters, right? The opponent always matters. Jake is brilliant at picking opponents, so of course it matters who the name in the opponent is. Instead of stepping up to fight actual boxers, Jake's out here handpicking people he knows he can beat, or at least people who won't embarrass him too badly, and yet the guy never stops running his mouth. Funny, isn't it, all that talk? And the only thing louder than Jake's trash talk is the sound of him running away from actual challenges. He disrupted boxing by being the first boxer to never box a boxer. Now he will disrupt MMA by being the first MMA fighter to fight only retired professional football players. Boxing experts have had a field day roasting him. Jake talks big, but refuses to face anyone with real credentials is basically the tagline of his career at this point. The guy loves to act like he's some kind of revolutionary in the sport, but his actions scream cowardice louder than his YouTube thumbnails scream clickbait. This means the best fighters fight the best fighters every single year, which is better for you. I'm bringing you the best fights. Now let me ask you, is there anyone more delusional than him? No wonder he's ditching boxing for MMA. It's easier to rewrite the narrative in a different sport than to face the brutal truth. Jake Paul isn't built for real boxing. When you compare him to actual boxers, the contrast is laughable. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao were fighting ranked opponents practically as teenagers. Jake, on the other hand, has built his so-called career fighting retired athletes, basketball players, and MMA guys who've never thrown a proper jab in their lives. It's no wonder the boxing world calls him a social media boxer. The guy's career is more about Instagram followers than actual wins. Jake Paul isn't here for the grind, the sweat, or the glory. He's here to cash checks and post highlight reels. And let's be honest, he's not the savior of boxing, he's its punchline. I'm like, man, yeah, them dudes just using their YouTube status to come in boxing and make all this money. Now let's talk numbers, because Jake loves to throw those around. Sure, $65 million in pay-per-view sales in 2023 sounds impressive until you realize it's all smoke and mirrors. It's not the sport they're paying for, it's the circus. People aren't buying tickets to see a legitimate fighter, they're buying tickets to watch Jake ego get punched in the face. And yet, after all that money and all those headlines, Jake has never faced a ranked professional boxer, not 1-0. The second boxing started demanding actual legitimacy, Jake decided to pack his bags and head to MMA. Coincidence? Please, you are a YouTuber, you ain't a boxer. Name. This guy never took a punch. He's never took one serious punch, is what he's took of Anderson Silva. And he's on this. What is that? If there's one fight that stripped away the illusion, it was his loss to Tommy Fury. That was a public unmasking. Fury exposed every hole in his game, from his sloppy footwork to his laughably wild punches. Jake looked like an amateur pretending to be a pro. And let's not forget, Tommy Fury isn't even a top-tier boxer. He's a decent fighter, sure, but he's not exactly a world champion, yet even that